Hello, welcome to Blue Girls podcast. And it's been quite a while since I've had posted videos. Posted my dreams as video. So, that's basically because there isn't that many. I used to have dreams like maybe every other day. Sometimes every day. But anyway, May 2025. Back of him. There was a young guy, can only see the back of him. He went to an apartment, which he rarely is there, almost like a second apartment. I see him standing in his bedroom. Then I see it into another room, a small room full of Mexicans. Okay. What I see in this dream is there's a guy, I see the back of him, and he's like right in front of me, and he's got spiked hair in the back. I cannot see his face. So whenever I cannot see someone's face in the dream, it means I don't know who it is. Anyway, so he's at his place, and it could be like a second, like I said, a second apartment, or it could be the number 2. But then I see, like, to the left, a room full of immigrants, Mexican immigrants, whatever. So I don't know how that's connected or what that's about. But anyway, that's what I see. And then former manager. My former male manager and this woman have been dating since January. The guy kind of looks a little like the guy have been seen when received mail standing in doorway. Anyway, the images of the man and women are really fuzzy. The woman looks a little like a woman here. Dark hair, plump, play the disability card. So, what I see is the same guy showing somebody that she used to live where I used to live. Well, she lives where I used to live. I'm sure she's still there. But I see him showing her a room. But what's weird about this dream is it's very fuzzy. Some of my dreams, and it's been a long time since it's been this way, but are very clear and like lifelike and like I'm there sometimes. But it's all fuzzy. It's a small bedroom, and it's her and it's him, and he's showing her the room. So she's still there, so I don't know. Debt. Well, I don't know. Okay, and I put in here July 8th, 2015. There was this guy and his sister was talking to him. Release loans. How long will that take? A day to find out. I can't release the student loan, she said. Can you imagine what they are going to do to her? Minneapolis and Seattle. So, the student loans, I went to a college mainly in Minneapolis and Seattle. So, that's why it's focused with those 2 cities, I think. And that was something I heard, not that I dreamed of. And then I put August 17, 2015. I didn't mean to lie. So I'm not for sure. I mean, that's over 10 years ago. And then May 11th, 2025, they shouldn't be doing it. Okay, so now we get back to the dreams. May, 3 doctors. I see the back of 3 doctors walking with their white coats, although I seem to be focused on the doctor in the middle, my former doctor. So he's kind of in the middle of it all. That's what I'm, like the pickle in the middle. But I see that. I can only see the back of him. And it's weird. It's almost like he's walking in some of the the white coat that he's wearing is kind of moving a little bit. And then there's a doctor to his right and a doctor to his left. And all of this is from the back view. I can see their coats. I can't really see their heads in the dreams or anything like that. And the main focus is on my former doctor. The next dream is key. Using key to open and close lock on my front door. I say, you can't come in here. A bus station. I was inside a large open building. I've had a dream about this place before. I think it's a bus station. I recall wanting to buy a bus ticket or already had one, not sure. I recall thinking, where would I go from there? So I can't remember the name of the city, but I think I've been through there because I saw it was a very large Greyhound bus station. And then later I saw a Greyhound station that was a big building, but it was no longer in service. And I can't think of the top of the head, off the top of my head where it was. Because I was I think I was going through the city. Okay, then ocean. I saw an ocean from afar, possibly on a cliff. June 2025, mild-mannered man. I was with possibly a young woman, and we were at this mild-mannered man's place. It was the woman's former landlord. He was going to rent to her again. I'm not for sure where. Close by. He seemed like a nice guy. Well, he was mild-mannered man, but he didn't look like my former manager from over 10 years ago. But he had the same kind of demeanor. And then close by. I've been getting, like, when I moved out of my apartment, I was getting the words close by. I don't know where. But it seems like when I leave a place, I never return to the same building. And for the most part, for the same city, except for those two, Minneapolis and Seattle. But everything else is like when I try to go back to a same city, it's usually blocked. And I don't know why. I never end up there, or I get frustrated and don't end there. Not charged rent. I was with several young women in an open room. I mentioned to one of the women regarding paying rent. They didn't charge me. I don't even know the amount. I mentioned how my mom and dad were dead a long time ago. Also, a prescription bag was placed under my door. They didn't want to give me medical. They never do. I don't remember being in a large room or an open room with women. And what I meant by my mom and dad were dead a long time ago, it means I didn't have mommy and daddy's money. And they didn't ever have any money anyways. And then there was, this was at the former apartment where I lived. I had put a prescription bag underneath my door, which really doesn't make any sense because it wouldn't be big enough. So that was kind of weird, but it's symbolic. Okay, so the next one is, let's see here, I'd have to start a new here. Falling off a cliff. Okay, so this is not correct. I have to redo this because I didn't put, and this is rarely happens, but And I used to just write everything. And then like post it, but I just put it on here, and I think that, or just, do it. I don't write it down first anymore. But anyway, I'll just paraphrase it because I know this dream and it's not in here. Something else was written. Falling off a cliff. So what I remember, and is that I was walking aimlessly like off a cliff in the north of the Midwest, and I wasn't paying attention. So a former doctor from, years ago grabbed me and prevented me and pulled me, stopped me from falling off the cliff because I was just walking aimlessly, and the word I got was not paying attention. So I have to redo this one. But anyway, You're in Love. That's all I heard. I'm thinking of that one song, that rock song. I can't think of off the top of my head who sings it. I see a man with dark hair standing alone by himself, and a young woman with short dark hair is taking bus after bus after bus for most of the day. He chose someone else. They all do. This could be a student at a university or an area in the Pacific Northwest where one has to take a lot of buses in order to cross a body of water to the mainland. Yeah, they all get them in there to fuck them. Not all, but a good part of them, especially when there's money owed, or whatever. But anyway, so it was kind of a mixed dream in which I was, there's a gnat in here. The one area was like a college in the Midwest, and this girl was hopping from one bus after another. And what's weird about that area there isn't a lot of bus after bus after bus. Okay, but the other area in the Pacific Northwest, going from Seattle to another town up north, it used to be bus after bus after bus. And now it's not as many buses, but there was, I think, maybe 3 or 4 buses that you would have to take like early in the morning, and then you'd have to come back the same day. Well, you didn't have to, but it would come back the same day. So it was a long commute, at least 3 buses there and 3 buses back. But you didn't really have to wait that long, from what I remember, to catch the next bus. So that's good. Dessert? Or is this got to be desert. It ain't dessert. July 2025. I was walking to the top of a desert mountain. When I reached the top, there was a flat area. Upon awakening, I heard my former manager's name and the small town that I once lived, also hearing attack cars. So I do remember awakening and hearing I think it was her first and last name. And attack cars, I think that they were going to go after people's cars because I think somebody bought a car, so they were going to attack it or try to do something and get money. June 8th, 2025. Piece of shit doctor. I have DR. There were 2 doctors in a room. My former doctor walking in front of me, talking. I'm in a chair, no emotion, no kindness, won't look at me. Pacing back and forth, I thought he was romantically involved with another male doctor. I made a comment to him. Then I said, that isn't a surprise. He could have prevented it. It bothers him. Fire her. Then I was at an airport, not one here, large one possibly Salt Lake, or another one Chicago. I was taking a different flight with a different carrier, not for sure where going, was trying to cancel flight, punitive damages. Then some guy is on my side and says, you should not have effed her. So So I never showed up to this appointment. Kept blowing off the doctor. But I do believe he was romantically involved, not with another male doctor, but I think he had a male friend doctor. Then I went to the appointment. I was sitting in a chair, no warmth, no kindness, nothing. And they wanted to toss me somewhere else, of course. So, and I'm not for sure, and he would have paid for it, and I'm not for sure where. And then I was at an airport. Yeah, he would have paid for it. And then airport, it was a large airport, and Chicago is large. It's a large airport. Salt Lake, I vaguely remember, but I know those two are large airports. I've been to Denver several times, so I would have recognized it, but I just remember that. I'm leaning more towards Chicago, because I remember one of them is the Midway and then the O'Hare. One of them is much bigger than the other one, from what I remember. Okay, so July 26, 2025, a train going through water. This train was a little unusual. They all are sometimes. A train was going through a body of brown water that looks to have flooded. I cannot see the train tracks while the train drives through the water. It wasn't a train with passengers, just a male engineer. I can see different views of the train, including being the train itself. So I like this dream in the sense that it was like my older dreams, in which it was more clear, more vivid, more interesting. So when I saw, it was like from a different view, like I could see it right in front of me. And there was a train, all that was in there was a male engineer, and he was on a body of water. Well, he wasn't. He was like going through a flooded area, but it was flooded so bad that he, you could see the water when he was going through it, like him hitting the water. And then I was the train itself. Like I could see the perspective of being the train. And there wasn't any carriers. It was just a train. Not carriers, but, anybody on there but him. So, any passengers. Then the dream switches in which I am in a different apartment and my youngest brother is staying with me for a week. I worry about him staying too long. This area does not look familiar at all. Okay, weird guy. An older, weird guy was sitting in front of his computer. He's kind of nerdy looking. The computer was the only light source in the house. A woman or I was there and walked through the back door, which was left unlocked. It isn't a regularly looking door, but did lead to outside. So this guy was sitting in an open, dark room with, mainly the light coming from the computer. But, kind of like a basement. But then when I left, the back door was like a heavy door. Like it wasn't an apartment complex or a house. It was kind of like maybe an office or something. And because the door was heavy. I remember that, leaving. August 5th, 2025. I was sitting in the window seat on an airplane and guy was sitting on my lap. For whatever reason, he got up and left. I didn't want him to go. Relationship. Then I was with my twin cousins. We were going to fly to Asia and was going to at an airport. We had tickets to go, but changed our mind at the last minute because of being unfamiliar with the language. I don't think it was a well-known tourist destination. So I was on a plane, and this guy who I wanted to or was supposed to have a relationship, he was younger than me, went in, he came and he sat on my lap, and then he got up and left, which I thought was kind of strange, but he did this on the airplane. But I knew who he was in the dream. Then I was with my twin cousins. We were going to go to Asia, but we changed our mind because we were not familiar with the language, and that's one thing that I've had issues with. Not a lot. I don't really like going to countries with, the language is different, in which, I'm by myself or whatever, which I don't really, that's one reason why I don't go to countries or whatever, because of language barrier. And anything can happen. So you got to know I believe you got to know at least some of the language. So, okay, well, that's it.